If you're heading to southeastern Europe in a motorhome or campervan, then there's a fair chance that you'll be going through Austria or Slovenia. And if your vehicle is over 3.5 tons, there's a few things that you definitely need to know about tolls. Hi, it's Dave T here, and when we were planning our trip from the UK to Croatia, the fact that our campervan had been up-plated to 4,000 kilos opened up a whole can of worms. Most European countries have slightly different regulations when it comes to larger or heavier vehicles, and some of them are not always obvious. This is especially true of tolls in certain countries. So this video is going to look at the tolls in Austria and Slovenia for vehicles over 3.5 tons, as well as some other odd additional rules. Now, in the Netherlands and Germany, there aren't any tolls specifically for heavier leisure vehicles. Now, before anyone gets typing in the comments, since July 2024, Germany does have the toll collect system, which is typically overcomplicated. However, this is for commercial vehicles, and motorhomes and campervans are exempt from this. France and Croatia are also simple, since you can basically pay for tolls at the booths as you enter a chargeable section. Austria and Slovenia, however, are much more involved, so here's an explanation of how they work. Now, the first thing is that it's absolutely vital that you take your V5C for your vehicle, otherwise known as the logbook, with you when you go to Europe. This is recommended practice anyway, but essential for using tolls in Austria and Slovenia. For tolls, it is recommended that you also take the vehicle's certificate of conformance with you as well. To be honest, they didn't ask for our COC, but that may be because we pre-registered beforehand. Now, for vehicles under 3,500 kilos, Austria has a vignette system where you purchase a vignette, which is basically a sticker, which lasts for a specific number of days. From memory, a 10-day vignette was about €14, and you then stick it in your windscreen and you're basically good to go for driving wherever you like for that many days. For vehicles over 3,500 kilos, however, Austria has a system called GoBox, which, as its name suggests, is a box that's fixed to your vehicle windscreen. Now, you pay a €4 deposit for the box, but you also then need to put credit onto it. The box is detected as you go under motorway gantries, and you effectively get billed per kilometre travelled. It's a lot more expensive than vignettes, with a trip of about 200 miles costing almost €100. I'd recommend purchasing your GoBox before you actually enter Austria, just to avoid accidentally using toll roads before you buy one. Now, in addition to Austria, there are GoBox outlets in Germany and Slovenia. They are usually at service stations, but there's a map on the GoMount website showing you all of the outlet locations. Just make sure you filter it for GoBox outlets, because there are other ones as well on that website. The GoMount website also allows you to register your GoBox, but only after you've purchased it. So before we get into that, it's worth talking about ASFINAG and their website. ASFINAG is the organisation that runs the Austrian Autobahn network. They sell the vignettes I mentioned earlier and also collect tolls for bridges and tunnels. They don't collect the tolls for vehicles over 3.5 tons. This is done by GoMount. However, confusingly, the systems do interact, so I would very much recommend that you pre-register on the ASFINAG system before leaving the UK. You can create an account on the ASFINAG website and then also register a vehicle against it. I believe, because I didn't make notes at the time, that you actually also can scan and send a copy of your vehicle's V5C and ideally also your certificate of conformance. They should then register you on the system and identify your vehicle emissions category, and this seems to be based on a bit more than just purely the Eurocat rating. Even once you've registered on ASFINAG, you still need to then get a GoBox once you're actually in Germany, Slovenia, or of course Austria. As mentioned, find the GoBox outlet online, and then with your V5C, COC and credit card in hand, head to the counter. The process takes about 10 minutes, and the GoBox itself costs a €5 refundable deposit. The outlet we went to recommended that we also purchase credit based on our planned journey. When we told them that we were heading to Slovenia and would then return, they recommended we purchase €250 of credit. You'll get a very long receipt with the GoBox, and make sure you keep this safe, as you will definitely need it later, potentially even after you get home to the UK. The GoBox itself has a single button which, when pressed, will light up either the number 2, 3 or 4. This should match the number of axles on your vehicle and would have been set by the sales attendant when they sold it. If it is showing the wrong number, then pressing and holding the button will then change the number to the next one up. Once you have checked the GoBox is working, you need to then stick it to the windscreen. We fixed ours near the top, but most people seem to be putting them along the bottom, and I'd say the bottom is probably a better option. Once it's on the windscreen, you should then hear a single beep whenever it goes under a motorway gantry that has these scanners attached. If you hear two beeps, then there is an issue such as low credit, so you should stop at a GoBox outlet as soon as possible. If it doesn't beep at all, then check that it's not obscured by some metal or something like that on your windscreen. If it's not, and you still can't get it to resolve the problem, then head for a GoBox outlet again to get it checked. The final step is to register the GoBox on the GoMount website. Now, this is not absolutely vital, but definitely recommended. As part of the registration process, you need to then enter your name and email address, as well as your PAN number and onboard unit number. Both of those numbers are on the long receipt with the GoBox number labelled as Versorggerätnummer. Once registered, you can top up credit and even download a list of every GoMount gantry that you've been under. You can also check your remaining credit, though it's not initially obvious on the site after logging in. To do it, select the More option in the top right corner, then choose Self-Care Portal Need for Action, and the balance is shown in the centre. You should still be prepared to pay for other tolls for things like tunnels, though on some of these there is a lane, usually on the right, for GoBox vehicles. As far as I can tell, when you use these lanes, it automatically charges you for the toll. This is another reason to make sure that you'll also register on ASFINAG. After your trip, you can either keep your GoBox in case you return to Austria. Alternatively, you can log into the GoMount website, and in the vehicle list there is an actions menu where you can select to return your GoBox. On returning, you should get your deposit and any remaining credit back. In summary, the Austrian Go-Box system is pretty daunting when you first find out about it, but it's not that difficult to get one as long as you take all of the correct documents with you. Having said that, the system overall, in my opinion, is a bit of a confusing mess. It's also expensive, with a trip of about 200 miles costing just under €100. Whilst if your vehicle had been under 3.5 tonne, it would be a 10-day vignette for less than €15. But how does it compare to Slovenia's version? Well, Slovenia has the DarsGo box, which is almost identical in operation. In fact, whilst a different colour and shape, the unit itself still has an obvious similarity to the GoBox unit. The process, however, is much simpler. You can, I believe, register at least partly on their website without an actual DarsGo box. More importantly, the entire system seems just generally easier to use. We purchased our DarsGo box at the first service station just after crossing into Slovenia. The process in the shop was very similar to with the GoBox in Austria. I simply took my V5C and other documents into the service station, asked for DarsGo and paid a deposit plus some credit for the tolls. The deposit for the box is more expensive at €10, but the mileage rate seems much cheaper, with our 37-mile journey only costing about €4 of credit. Incidentally, like the GoBox, the DarsGo unit beeps twice going under gantries if the credit is under the recommended minimum of €25, which you may well start below that credit point anyway. I mention that just to save you the trip into a service station to check if it's working when it's purely a low credit issue. If you do need to add extra credit, you can do this simply by clicking the top up credit icon. Also, as you can see here, the DarsGo website has a very simple interface which clearly shows your remaining credit. Now, I think it's probably worth discussing a few of the other rules relating to vehicles over 3,500 kilos, the most important of which is probably the lower speed limits. This is the case for the UK, so it shouldn't really come as much of a surprise that they are also restricted in most European countries. But some of the speed limits may still be much lower than you expect. Of the countries we visited, motorway speeds in order of fastest to slowest were France, Germany, Croatia, the Netherlands, Austria, and then finally Slovenia. It's worth noting that a lot of the foreign truck drivers will often not be aware that your van is subject to slower speeds, so prepare to get some horn blasting, especially in tunnels where they are often restricted from overtaking you. For other open roads, unless otherwise signed, all of these countries have 50 mph limits, apart from Austria, which is 44 mph. There's also some more obscure rules, such as in France, vehicles over 3,500 kilos need to affix an angle de mort sticker, and also keep to the 2 right lanes only on motorways. Then there are the rules that apply regardless of weight. For example, in Germany and France, if your sat-nav has a speed camera warning feature, then it must be deactivated. Meanwhile, in Germany, Austria and Slovenia, dipped headlights need to be on at all times, whilst in the Netherlands, this is only a requirement for bad weather. Austria's privacy laws mean that dash cams are actually illegal, and using one can land you a very hefty fine. And finally, in Slovenia, you need to have hazard lights on when reversing. Now, this is not by any means an exhaustive list, but hopefully it demonstrates the need to research local driving rules whenever travelling abroad. So in conclusion, we did find that driving a heavier vehicle in Europe added some extra hassle and stress that we could have otherwise done without. But having said that, with some research and forward planning, all of these requirements are manageable. I hope this video has helped you in preparing for your trip abroad, or that you've at least found it interesting. And if you have, then please do hit that like button. And if you're interested in seeing other videos I make, then please do consider subscribing to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos as I post them. But most of all, thanks for watching.